Hi guys, we got a new lesson going on here. We've got surface area of a rectangular prism. So that's our lesson for today. So we've been talking about volume. We learned about volume of a rectangular prism and volume of a triangular prism. Now we're going to go back into not finding out what's inside the volume, but we're going to figure out all of the outside components. So we're going to figure out the area of all of the shapes. So I know this looks funky, but I'm just going to explain it to you. So here is our rectangular prism again. So this is what it would look like closed. Sometimes when we're trying to figure out the surface area, we need to unfold that box. So what I did is I unfolded it for you. Now I know it looks confusing, but just bear with me for a second. Okay, so if I was to take this box and I was to take this front part and I was to lay it down, that would be this part here. Oh no, my pen doesn't want to work again. Okay, so that's the front. The same thing in the back. If I was to take this piece and lay it down, that would be the back of my rectangular prism. This is what's left in the middle, so we were going to consider this to be the bottom. And then this piece would fold out, so that would be a side. This piece would fold down, and that would be a side. And then if I folded this piece, we'll just pretend that the top is connected to that, so that would come off. So this would be the top. So as you can see, some of these dimensions are going to be the same, and I'm just going to try to outline them a little bit for you. Your two sides are going to have the same area. So once you figure out one side, you'll just multiply it by 2 to figure out the other one. The same with your front and your back. Once you figure out the area of the front, you're just going to multiply it by 2 because that's the area of the back. And then the last piece obviously is the top and the bottom. The bottom of your rectangular prism is going to be the same as your top of your prism. Now let me give you the formula. It's a little scary, but I think we can work through it. So they abbreviate for surface area equals 2 times your length times your width plus 2 times, maybe if that would help if I put a multiplication sign there, 2 times your length and your height plus 2 times your height and your width. Now I know it looks so super confusing, but if we follow this pretty easy formula, it'll make sense. So let me draw a picture. Let me erase all this craziness and let's get a problem up here. So let me draw a box. I'm going to draw it just unfolded because I think that's just going to help us be able to look at it better. So give me a moment while I just do this. I wish I knew how to do like that animated, like fast forward stuff, but just bear with me for a second. And obviously my boxes are not going to look so great. Okay, so here's my box. It's all unfolded. So remember, this is going to be like the side that comes down. This is going to be the same side on the opposite. This will be my front and my back, my bottom and my top. But they're going to give us some numbers, so let me write those down. So let's say that this is 7 centimeters. This is 6 centimeters. We have, oh, why am I writing centimeters? There we go. 8 centimeters. There we go. And this is 6 centimeters. And we have 6 centimeters here. And we have 8 centimeters. And we have 6 centimeters. Gosh almighty, this looks really confusing. So I'm going to color code it again to kind of help us. I think I used orange. I can't quite remember. So for the orange, we'll just kind of outline it. We know that these two are going to be the same. We know that this one and this one are going to be the same, and then that tells me that these last 2 numbers are going to be the same. All right, it looks a little silly with all these boxes in there, but I think we're going to do fine. All right, so just looking at this, I'm going to find out where my numbers are, right? So I can see that this one side is 6 and the other is 7, so if I multiply those 2 together, I'm going to get 42 centimeters squared. Since I know this purple is 42 centimeters squared, I know this other purple is going to be 42 centimeters squared. All right, so now I'm going to look, where else do I have numbers? these two, this green one up here has 2, so let's see, 8 times 6 is 48 centimeters squared, which means that this one is 48 centimeters squared. Pretty easy so far, right? Okay, so now I just have to figure out, oh, how am I going to get this orange? Okay, so here they give me this is 8. That's pretty easy, but I don't know what my other number is. Well, if I look over here, they told me this is 7, which makes that 7, which makes that 7, which makes that 7, which makes this one 7 centimeters, right? So 8 times 7 is 56, right? And this makes 56 centimeters, right? Now I have all my numbers. Now I just have to do some fancy math here and figure them all out. So the surface area is going to be, watch this, I'm just going to do 2 times 42, because those are my 2 purple, plus 2 times 48, which are my green, plus 2 times 56, which are my 2 orange. So let's see if I can do some mental math. All right, so I have 4, I have 84. Hopefully I'm doing my math right. 8 times 8 plus 8 is 16, 96 plus I have 12, 10, 11. Hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so I would have 112 plus 96 plus 84. So let's see, I get 10, I get 12, 10, 19. So I would get 292 centimeters squared. Because remember, we're dealing back with area, not with volume, we're dealing with area. So we're just multiplying centimeters by centimeters. I know it looks like a lot of work, but I think if you color code things, I think that's really gonna help you. So I think I'll try to do one more with you. And then we're gonna switch to what happens if they don't break it down and make it look like this. So let me erase all this hard work. And let me draw another box opened up, another rectangular prism. All right. We'll see if this one looks a little bit better. Not really, but that's okay. All right, let me grab my measurements so we can make sure that we do this. So let's see, this is 10 inches. And then they're going to tell us that these two together are both 10 inches. So they're just saying that this is 10 inches plus this is 10 inches. So if you see something that looks like that, you'll know. This is 15 inches. Again, this side and this side is both 10 inches. And then we have 15 inches here. So let me get my colors out because for me that just helps. And if I do the wrong colors, I'm sorry, I can't quite remember. So we'll just make these two purple. And then let's see, we'll make these two orange. And then we'll make my last two green, sure. All right, so again, I'm gonna look for numbers that I can really solve quite quickly. So they said 10 and 10, so I know that this is 100 inches squared, oops. And we know that this one is 100 inches squared. So maybe I'll start this time putting in my numbers. So as I find them, I'm just gonna plug them right in. Okay, so here I see 10 and 15, so I would get 150, oops, inches squared. Then that would make this one 150 inches squared. And then we just have this last one we need to figure out. So just like the last one, if they tell me this is 10, they make this one 10. So, oh look, this happens to be the same, 150. So plus another 150. So I would get 200 plus 300 plus 300. So I'd get 6, 7, 800 inches squared would be my total surface area. All right, so now let's try one where everything's all folded up and we can't really see. So let me erase and let me get from there. All right, so let me draw a rectangular prism again. So I'll draw it kind of big for you guys. Sorry, that one's kind of a mess over there. All right, so let me give you some measurements. So they say that it's 7 feet is this one. And then they're gonna say that this is 4 feet. and then they're going to say this is 5 feet. So let me again color code them. So the length of my whole rectangular prism is 7. They're going to tell me that the height is 4. And then they're going to say, I think I used blue last time. They're going to say the width is 5. All right, so now I'm going to go back to that crazy formula that I introduced at the beginning. We just haven't used it yet. So let me try it. So surface area is 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 height times width. Now this might be different than the first time I told you to. As long as you're always doing the length and the width, the length and the height, and then the height and the width, it doesn't really matter what order you put them in because we're going to be adding and we're going to be multiplying, and both of those again are commutative. So I'm just going to plug in my numbers. So I have 2 times my length is 7 times 5 plus 2 times my length is 7 times 4 plus 2 times 4 times 5. All right, now we can just multiply. So I have 35 times 2, which is 70, plus I have 7 times 4 is 28 times 2 is 56, plus, 4 times 5 is 20 times 2 is 40. And when we do all of our magic math, you can check me, make sure I'm right, but I think it's 166 feet squared. In fact, I know it's 166 feet squared. So when you're just given something like this, you'll just have to remember this pretty long formula and then just plug in the numbers and you'll get it right. So I don't know, should I do another one? You know what, we'll do one more. I know this is a longer video, I'm sorry, but there's just a lot to cover in this one. So let me change this and then we'll figure it out. So instead of writing and drawing another picture, I'm just going to give you some measurements. So let's say I am mailing, I don't know, something in the mail. What am I going to mail? I'm going to mail a present. Sure. Mail a present, and I need to make sure that I get a box big enough to hold my present in. So when I go to the store, I'm going to find a box that has to be at least 7 inches long. It needs to be at least 3 inches wide. And it needs to be 16 inches tall. Or for our sake, it's going to be height, right? So I have 3 numbers, so I'm just going to plug it in. Surface area equals 2 times length times width plus 2 length times height plus 2 height times width. So I have all my numbers here, so I'm just going to plug them in. So equals 2 times my length is 7 times 3 plus 2 times 7 times 16 plus 2 times 16 times 3. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do my math. So I get 7 times 3 is 21 times 2 is 44 plus 7 times 6 plus 2, I already did the math, 224 plus 16 times 3 times 2 is 96. And when we add it all together, we get 362 inches squared. Check me. Let me know if I'm wrong or right. So again, you just have to memorize this formula. We can use note cards and anything else that we need to. So our next lesson will be surface area of a triangular prism. So look forward for that video.